Welcome to the Contractor Sales Academy podcast. Derek, what's going on?
I'm just hanging out in outer space, man.
You are, man. You got your green screen behind you there. You look all fancy.
That's it, man. Got to step up my game, even though it's a podcast, but still got to look somewhat professional.
It's kind of funny to look at, actually. So, hey, listen, before we get going here today, guys, if you found any value in this podcast, anything that we bring here that's helped you get better in any way in your sales process, we would super appreciate a review wherever you're listening to this, just so that we can reach more contractors. We don't charge anything for this. We actually spend money to do this. We've done several episodes and there's production costs and things like that. We pay, our podcast people to do that and whatever. And so in return, we would just ask for a review. If we've helped you in any way, shape, or form, that would mean a lot. Because we do this because we love to help people. We want to help you make more money, get your life back, and all that other stuff. So wherever you're listening, give us a review. So Derek, it's just you and I today. Steve's on vacation. Again. Yeah. Where is he now again? I forget. I don't even know.
He's a Blackberry Farms. It's just about 3 hours away from me in Tennessee, and it is the most unbelievable 5-star resort in the woods. Like they you don't have to worry about nothing. You just show up and they literally whisk you away. They take care of you. Like it's amazing. So even more importantly, to get your shit together in your sales process, you can be like Steve.
That's right. Well, listen, what we're going to talk about today will actually help somebody get their shit together. And this is a topic that I thought of about an hour ago. I was on the treadmill and I was listening to Marketing Secrets podcast. Russell Brunson, the guy who founded ClickFunnels and total guru and all this other. He was sharing the story of a guy who's in his program who's, I don't know, sold like 100 million or some shit like that of his services, whatever the hell it was. Okay. Tens of millions or something like that. I forget what it was. And he asks the guy, he says, "What are you reading now? What book are you reading now?" And he goes, "I only read one book and I'm on my 8th time now." And he's like, "Well, what are you talking about?" And he says, "Well, it's one of your books, Russell. It's Expert Secrets. I've read it 8 times. I'm on my 8th time right now." He says, "I read it cover to cover. I finish it. I close it. The next day, I open it up page 1 and I read it again." And the podcast I was listening to there, just the whole point was this guy got something new out of the book every time he read it. He wasn't trying to outthink himself. He wasn't trying to be fancy. He was going, every time I read this, I get something. And in that explanation in this podcast I listened to today, it wasn't a long one. Russell Brunson just happened to say, repetition is the mother of all learning. And this is an old Roman proverb, I believe it came from. And then Zig Ziglar, busted it out back in the day with Zig Ziglar. And it really just got me thinking that, we always say practice makes perfect, but if you remember when the Iron Tamer came to one of our events, he was like, actually, it's perfect practice makes perfect.
Perfect practice,
because you can be practicing shit wrong. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about some of your thoughts and my thoughts on repetition being the mother of all learning. When you saw that we were going to do that topic today, what came to your mind?
It like totally clicked. And we talk about me being the success story of, what you teach and what Steve teaches. And how did I become the success story? It's really just repetition. Like I go back, we joke and talk about my first role play you and I did together. It is recorded.
Yes,
and it was awful, awful. But so that's literally what popped in my mind to answer your question is like, think about how repetitive I've been in the Shinfu process and learning how to communicate and doing it over and over and over and over. And now I know I could walk into any room with anyone and not feel overwhelmed because I've repeated the conversation process, the listening process, the shut the f- process, the, like the whole, it's how to validate. Like I do it so often, it's just so normal. So that's what popped into my mind. Perfect practice has got me to a point where Now, not saying I'm like this amazing orator. That's not my point. Is I
Right.
just know I can be around anyone, anytime, and feel comfortable in any conversation because I know how to. Well, if I'm backed into a corner conversation, I can turn around and kick out the wall.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like
exactly.
it's it, or I can stand toe to toe, or we can just have a nice, you know, a dialogue versus a monologue.
Mm-hmm.
So through that, it's gotten me to a place where, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, you know, a lot of so as I was thinking of this in preparation, in this whole hour I prepped for this today, um,
I'm thinking, oh man,
of
that
thinking,
that
I was
prep
just on
that
the
was.
treadmill. I was just thinking, and then I was doing a bunch of core calisthenic shit and all that other stuff, and
You know, I want to say this one thing, and I know
yeah,
you can't say why, but I know you've been stepping up your workouts because
hmm
you're going to have some big news before long, and I kind of
yeah,
have a feeling that it's some of
that's
that.
why. Yeah. Well,
Not
I don't
that
know
you
if you
didn't
saw. I
before.
don't know if you saw
Not
the
that you didn't
queen. The
before.
queen just walked in and handed me my organic
That's
protein
right.
smoothie. Yeah, there's some shit coming, man.
Yeah,
So it's
I want to say
and
so many things right now, but I can't. But
I know,
it's
I
good.
know.
It's good.
Um, but here's the thing. Like, I think we're in this society. I know we're in this society because I've fallen into this where we're in like learning something isn't just about the repetition of consuming knowledge every day. And that's, I think, what a lot of people do. Like a lot of people go and they have our 5-step card that they found online free, or
Hmm.
I'll give a link here at the end where people can go get the damn thing if you want it. Okay. But it's
Sure.
like they consume the info and they think that's the repetition that's going to help them learn a new skill when really you actually have to do the shit. Like you could consume the knowledge every day on how to swing a golf club. But until you go out and actually put the thing in your hands, adjust your grip, adjust your stance, you know, get coached and swing and swing and swing and swing, that's that's what repetition is. It's not just the consumption of the knowledge. And I think that's why a lot of people will consume what we talk about here. They'll learn our 5 steps, meaning they know what they are because we tell you what they are, and then they start using them with less than stellar results because they're not getting the right reps. And the
Yeah.
right reps is what happens inside the bridge, which is why we are all about role playing your asses off, you know, and getting that practice.
It makes all the difference. Like Joe Rogan. So I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan podcast, and as most of you guys know,
Mm-hmm.
he's a big MMA guy. And he was a GSP, Jordan, what is it? George St.
George
Pierre.
St. Pierre. Yep.
Yeah, unbelievable guy. I remember seeing a podcast where George St. Pierre had this, what was it? I think it was just a sidekick or reverse sidekick or something like that. And it was good. But
Yeah.
Joe Rogan like has perfected it. So here it is, GSP and Joe Rogan, they go in their, it's his training facility, his gym. And he says, hey man, just tweak it just like this. And all of a sudden GSP now has one of the most unbelievable back kicks. And it's like,
Mm.
he just tweaked it a little bit. So that's kind of what you're saying. You can have all this information, but when you're literally instructed the right way, and then over through repetition and training this, you truly do become an assassin. And
Yeah.
it takes that. And I want to say this with all due respect, and now I'm probably going to screw up this quote. Teachers teach because they can't or something like that. And I say that in a very respectful way. So a
Right.
lot of teachers teach because they're not putting in the action or the efforts, but I say that because but we need that. But
Mm-hmm.
we can teach this stuff or you can bring it in, but until you take that next step and start grinding this shit out, learning how to really use the Shinfu and put it into practice, that's
Yeah.
when it clicks, man. That is, and I can't, it just, I almost want to, it's like I'm cocky and arrogant on this, but I feel so comfortable talking now
Mm-hmm.
because it was a sales process. That's what we started with. But
Yeah.
what we've done is we're teaching people how to communicate in a fashion.
Which nobody teaches that anywhere. Like
Who,
seriously, like
who teaches that?
we don't really learn that in our home growing up. We don't, you know, communication in my home growing up. I had 2 homes that parents split up and all that, but in one of my houses, it was you stuff, you stuff, you stuff, then you explode and then you leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the communication method, you
Sure.
know? And so we don't learn it at home, and we certainly don't learn it in school. You know, and I'm not saying there aren't people that are out there trying to teach this shit and trying to
Some
do it,
people
but
just, some people already get it.
there's no universal like push to teach people how to communicate, how to set goals, you know, and you know, all that other shit that we talk about here. So
well, think of it this way. Now look what Steve, now Steve and I, but you and Steve have your call on Tuesday that you do. The first Tuesday of every month, you do the mindset call. And then now Steve and I are doing this Wednesdays Unleashed inside of the group. So for you guys that don't know, you may just think that the bridge is just role playing, and that's a heavy part of the bridge, but we're stepping this game up. There's so much information we're giving. Now Steve is sharing, because now Steve, he's hired a coach.
Yep.
Coaches need coaches. And he's learning some stuff as you're seeing it, like how to react or not react in a certain situation. And it's like, so take yourself on a sales call, or take yourself on a conversation, and I'm throwing air quotes up, with your significant other conversation. Basically, a shitstorm just happened. And now what Steve's learning and teaching us is, I don't react anymore. I feel something going on. I feel it in my gut, and I go, all right, let me just hang on. Let me STF you for a minute.
Yep.
And before I say what I want to say, and just go, let me sit in this for a minute. And now I'm practicing that. So this group has went from just the 5 steps of Shin Fu to now truly how to communicate, how to react, how to feel, how to put yourself in tough situations and turn around and kick the wall out, even if it's with your family and friends. Because you know, when a customer upsets you, you literally just want to lose your shit. Maybe not on them, but then, you know, you go all these different directions, and then you go, you know, maybe they're just having a bad day. You know, maybe something else is going on in their life, and I'm just assuming it's me. So maybe if I literally put myself in their shoes and go, you know, something might be off, and be able to recalibrate and follow up. And then, like, think about that. If you could handle a customer that's having a shit day and you're not taking it personal, and maybe you need to get off the phone and reschedule a phone call, and you get back with them, man, your odds of getting that job just went way up.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's even the shit that so many people role play in the group. Like, it's crazy. It's not just the sales process, but it's like, hey, I got to call this customer and they're pissed. Can somebody role play this with me? Like, that, they're putting themselves through the reps, you know, so that they can have a level closer, get closer to that level of mastery of communication. You know, you brought up relationships. I mean, there's guys that jokingly, I mean, they joke, but it's real, and it's kind of funny, but they're like, yeah, I'm having more sex at home because of the way I'm communicating. Like, it's their marriages and relationships, and their relationships with their kids, and like, it's crazy. But it all starts with committing to get the reps in. You got to get the reps in. And so before we get out of here, why don't we stick to something? Why don't we do the reps? Why don't we, you know what I'm saying? Like, somebody can come in. You know, I thought of 2 reasons. I'm curious what
first is fear. First is fear.
Yep.
You got people that are scared. They don't know what to expect. And then you got other people that come in. It's just that they're ready. They'll jump right up there. And, you know, you kind of got your introverts and your extroverts, and they'll just go for it. But so fear is the first thing. What do you got?
Mine was, really, why don't I stick to something? You know what I mean? Like getting the reps in or whatever it is. It's 2 things that came to my mind. Number 1 is I assume I've got it down. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I got this. You know, I know what I'm doing. I've been there. I've achieved
I already got this. I know how to do this.
I've achieved this already, right? It'd be like, you think about Larry Bird. You know, I heard he used to shoot like 1,000 free throws a day. At some point, you would think like, I'm good. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's why he was so damn good, is because he shot 1,000 a day or whatever it was. And so he didn't make the assumption that he was good. So I've done that. And the second one is boredom. I think we get bored doing the same thing over and over. And, you know, as a football coach, many years, I learned that one of the hardest things for a play caller to do is to just keep running the play that's working. Because we want to outcoach ourselves. We want to get cute. We want to get fancy. We get bored instead of just going, hand it off again. Do that again.
Do this again.
Yeah, do that again. And
again,
because we're bored. And so I could see that in the sales process or in business or whatever. We have that shiny object syndrome. We get bored. Yet it's the commitment to the unsexy, mundane shit that moves the needle forward for you that is really going to make the difference between you winning and losing.
You just got to do it. You got to do the things that you don't want to do when you don't want to do them. I mean, there's a testament. There's so many people in the group, and I know a good chunk of our group listen to our podcast for that reason, and they talk about it all the time. And I see it when I role play. Like when we get to the point where they start as a white belt and they come in, they get their green belt, blue belt, brown belt. And when it's time to get your black belt, you have to do a role play with me.
Yeah.
And I'll hear them before when they're white belts. And then once they're a black, and they haven't mastered it yet. They've just gotten good at it. They've gotten good at role playing, but you can hear it and they're seeing stuff. They're sensing it before it happens. And it's just, you can't say enough about that.
Yeah. Well, and you brought up, some of our members that listen to this, and I know a lot of them do. For those of you that are listening that have been wallflowers and you haven't jumped in and you haven't gone after the belts, I want to encourage you guys to understand that you're really going to learn it by doing it. I know you can pick some shit up just being in the group and hiding in the shadows and listening and jumping on a call and just not participating, but there's nothing like diving in, and swinging the club or the bat or whatever analogy you want to use here. So.
Yeah. Well, that was my first role play with you, like that live one. And I thought I had it figured out because I'd done a bunch. I'd done a bunch before that. And it was just like, I got this. And it was not good.
Well, it was good catching up here today. Steve's on vacation. I think he'll be back. I know you got to run here because you got Wednesdays Unleashed. You and
Wednesdays Unleashed.
Dan Sherwood are going to tear it up today.
I'm so excited about this.
Talk about a winner, man. He's a
dude.
beast.
Talk about somebody that can communicate and has the truly like a wordsmith. I aspire. I just like talking to him and I'm writing shit down. Just
I know. I'm like, God, that was funny. I want to.
How did he do that?
He's great.
We're actually, our topic today is going to be, I built a business that I did not want. We're gonna break that down because how many times or how many contractors got into this and then all of a sudden they ended up with a business that they never even wanted.
Yeah. And this is not what I thought was
happening. This is what's going on. And what he's going to talk about, what we're going to break down is how to transition that and how to get out of it. So even though we're a sales academy over here, that's part of the sales process. And we're going to talk how to deconstruct a business that you built, you didn't want.
I love it. Well, that'll be good shit. So we appreciate everybody listening today. Head to contractorsalesacademy.com/sales if you want to grab our 5-step sales process card and get on the path to closing more sales. And with that, Derek, good chatting. Everybody, have a great day. We'll see you guys next time.
Perfect. Keep being awesome. Later.